What's up, everyone? So welcome to another day of budget building our YJ Jeep patches. So what we ended up doing was we actually have our other Jeep here, and the shocks are, as far as the bushings or whatever inside them, the sleeves were totally like destroyed. But I figured maybe the shocks were still good, and all I have to do is get some new bushings or sleeves or whatever. So I'll buy new shocks for this guy here. And then I'll take these shocks here. You see how they're just gone. I mean, they're disintegrated. They were probably really dry rotted since this Jeep sat for a little bit. And then once we got it on the road and started driving it, they probably just broke apart. Regardless, anyways, we thought, we'll get them out and all that. And we'll put them on this thing. And we'll just put, get some, new sleeves or whatever. And should be good to go. But, as you can see, I mean, that's a perfect example here. They're not good. They're not, they are completely just junk. They're not, expanding back or anything like that, rebounding. They're garbage. So, unfortunately, I don't think we're going to be able to use these things. I think these things are just garbage. So, we'll probably just order up another pair. And the reason, it's not like we're trying to budget build that hard, because it's like $30 for a pair of shocks. But our goal is one of these Jeeps is going to get a 4-inch lift by, we'll say, next year. By next year, one of these Jeeps are going to get a 4-inch lift. It could be this Jeep. This Jeep could get a 4-inch lift this year. If it does really good out on our Aspen trip and we're like, hey, we got that rush trip, let's just spend the money, put some 4-inch lift on this thing so we got a little bit better ground clearance. So we have a little more front out and rush, and we could do maybe just, maybe a little bit more, and that way we could just throw on some adapters on the studs here, so then we can run our 33s that are actually on our CJ, because those got mud tires on them, and that'd be a perfect setup. I mean, I wouldn't want to go too much bigger. I wouldn't want to go any bigger. Even 31s would be good on a 4-inch lift because they give you plenty of flex and all that too. So we're going to see what's going to happen. But regardless, these shocks are garbage. Just a couple tips when you are replacing shocks. Probably on almost any vehicle. But regardless, as far as on this YJ, wouldn't be a bad thing. Make sure you have some PB blaster. Have a torch to heat up any of your bolts that might be a little on the rusty side. And once you do get your shocks out and you go to put your new ones in, and you find that on the bottom where your axle's at, that you're having a hard time sliding the bottom of your shock in, don't be shy to give those tabs that the shock sits in just a little tap. Just go and give them a little hit to kind of bend it out slightly so they fall right in place. You slide your bolt through, tighten it up, it'll be all good. So that's what happened with us. One of our bolts wouldn't come out, so we actually ended up heating it up to get it out. Rest of the other 3 came out good, and we actually just ended up reusing all our hardware. It was fine. Other than that, she's good. So she's solid. You can see. I mean, it was horrible. She was making so much racket back there. It was no bueno. So we actually, I don't know. Depends on which Jeep we lift. We don't lift this Jeep, and we end up leaving it like this for a little while. We'll probably replace the front too, because they're the same shock, so I imagine that those can't be that great up there either. So, and I don't know, maybe part of the bushings going out that made those shocks clap out even more faster. I don't know. But, so today, since we can't put our shocks in, we got our mounts in, the next thing we're going to work on, I think, is this darn driver's seat. As you can see, that is no bueno. Last thing I want to be worrying about, since we won't even have any doors on this thing when we're off-roading it, is taking a sharp turn and the whole freaking seat coming out. Sounds funny, but I don't think we're that far from it, because look at this. That's not good. So, this is what I was getting at. Here's what we're going to do. We're going to see and try to get this seat to just come completely out. So then we're going to put a piece of metal to reinforce this whole area here. Sounds great. hopefully we can make it happen, right? That will take care as far as this bottom part needing more support. I believe. It should. Let's see what actually... Yeah, that's what we should do. It's going to give it better support. And, yeah, we'll do that. The other thing I was thinking about doing, sorry, I'm just, you know, thinking as I talk here, was putting a support bar from this bar to that one over there to kind of help the seat from not leaning back so far. I don't know. That's what I'm thinking about doing. We'll see. We'll get the platform welded in and all that, and get the seat back down, and then we'll see how loose it is and see what it feels like. If we don't have to weld that support bar, I'd rather not. All right. So one of the things about these shocks, since on your top shock mounts on your Jeep, they have sorry, so let me show you right here. So here's your shock. This would be on the bottom side, right? You can see how it's got that collar, it's got that sleeve inside, so when your bolts in there, it kind of doesn't beat it up or whatever, I guess. Obviously you could probably just run a bigger bolt, but that would also require us drilling bigger holes, and we are actually maxed out on our bit size that we carry here. But that's okay, because we actually have our sleeves here that actually came out of our old shocks, and those were the ones that were on the bottom. But since the grommets were all clapped out and there was nothing there, it made it, you know, okay in getting this. Now if you're going to remove, side note by the way, crazy is that I can't look at all the grommets blew out, even the ones in the front. Like, I don't know what brand are those Ranchos? Ranchos. Now just look at this here. This is the shock from this Jeep here that I have never replaced, and I don't know how original they are. Maybe they're not original. Either way, it's your normal, you know, gas shock or whatever. But ooh, yeah, that's right. But I tried heating this up actually to see if I can just push this sleeve out. But I put a socket and tried pounding it and screwdriver, and I couldn't get these out. So probably the next step, if you wanted to get these out, if yours were still stuck in a good grommet, I would just take maybe a drill and drill along the edge here to relieve some of the tension or pressure, and then I just push that sucker right out, and that should be an easy way for you to get that sleeve out if you need to go this route. So that's what we got going on. But this should work. Hopefully it does. We're gonna get our bolts and all that stuff and get one of these shocks in. All right, just showing you real quick what it looks like. But that's now with that old sleeve pounded in, so should be good. All right, shocks are installed, and they're looking good too. So I mean, that's pretty much stock angle of what it used to be. I mean, you could see we were pretty close anyways when we put our mounts on. But yeah, that's good. So what we're gonna look at next, I mean, oh, the other thing we had to do too, because we couldn't slide the bolt in going that way because we'd hit the frame, you know, there wasn't enough room. So we had to sneak the bolt in going this way, which allowed us only so much length before we actually hit the frame. So we couldn't put any lock washers on because of the size. We just had just the right size bolt. So we just put a little Loctite on there. Instead of, you know, being able to put lock washers on and stuff like that. Other than that, everything's Loctited, everything's tightened, shocks are all good. There is just, if you want to be picky, there is a little back and forth action, just a smudge. And that could go into, if we hadn't used such a heavy gauge steel, then when we tighten the bolts, it would have squeezed it just enough and it would have been perfect. Because just like the bottom, it's a thinner gauge metal. So those tabs actually open up a little bit for you to put the shock in, and then when you're actually tightening that bolt on the bottom, it actually squeezes the shock. So probably part of the reason why that sleeve's in there and all that stuff too probably plays a role. But regardless, time to get on to the brakes. We're gonna get the brakes done tonight. Just won't be able to get them bleeded. And then tomorrow we will probably, the next video will be working on that driver's seat. Our body mounts, pretty much that one's good. This one is not good, and I think it's actually good on the other side. Well, it's actually, well, okay, I see what's happening here. So if by chance we get lucky and back this bolt out, which you'd be surprised. Some bolts have come out pretty easy on this thing. We actually bought a whole bag of hockey pucks, so we're gonna do a puck lift on this thing. But we're not lifting it. We're just replacing what it sits now. I thought about, I was like, man, I got enough pucks, I could definitely lift this thing. But there's some, I shouldn't say you just don't know what you're gonna cause issues with, as far as you could be simple as your transfer case with your, your stick coming up through the floor, any type of wiring, anything. Like, just, it's not worth it. It's not worth it to us. For a couple inches of body lift. I'm never a fan of body lift, so we don't need it. This guy here is obviously no good. But you know what? Honestly, it's just looking at it. We might get lucky, and if we could jack this up enough and just grind all this off, because it's pretty solid metal. Maybe we just get lucky and we'll just build another tab, and we could actually probably reuse that one. Okay, so we could reuse this one. Whatever body mount was back here before is just not here anymore, wherever you may be. But we have some solid panels here and some good support. This is actually, feels very like there's a lot of support there, so it might go off this right here. Yeah, we're probably gonna go right off that guy. So that seals up this end, right? But now the other side here is where our gas tank's at, and we don't have that convenient little shelf, so we'll have to get a little bit more interesting on this side. And then let's see what our yeah, and see, here's our issue on this side. It's not the mount that's bad, it's the flooring. So not much I could do about that, so we will have to either, so that mount's bad over here too. That's both flooring and, so that one's good up there. So we need to figure out, as far as, yeah, there's no point in going off anything right here. This is just gonna have to be no body mounts. And yeah, see, this is where we're gonna have to get creative and figure some stuff out. But the main thing is, it's just gonna sag a little bit right there, which is probably a reason why we have partial reason of what our door not shutting right. It's because the way this body is just not sitting even right now on the frame. So yeah, we could dig past this here and maybe see if there's any room for a body mount, but I don't know. We'll get this corner set up, we'll get those corners set up, and then we'll play this one by ear. It's probably not a need for just a cruiser, but it would be nice to get it, squared away and dialed in. So we'll see what we can do. I'm hoping just to get the majority of everything done on this Jeep, because I don't feel like coming back to this thing and just keep on redoing work, and just it's pointless. So I'd rather just get it done right now, get everything going, and hopefully just have a good solid ripper for the summertime. And that's why we have these projects in the winter, get all our toys, ready to go for summertime, so we just have fun, So all right, let's get at these brakes now. All right, everyone, so we got the brakes all installed here. Everything went together real smoothly. We remembered how the springs went, and yeah, we're you know the deal. It's a budget Jeep, so yeah, we're using the pads. We're not changing anything. I don't care. It's what we're doing. It'll be fine. There's still enough there's a little pad left on there. We will hit this with just like a little light, maybe sandpaper or something like that, or a steel wool, something, maybe just to clean it up a smudge. And then obviously we'll do the we'll do the drums, but we'll clean it up. But we're gonna leave it, and we'll see what this what this first trip does, and if they're horrible, then we'll go back and fix them. But right now we're just getting stuff together to get this thing just ready for the trip. So yeah, that's what it is. So seen today's video, we got that seat out, and we got our rear shocks mounted up finally, so that is complete. And all we gotta do is go get our brake line, and next video these will all be hooked up, good to go. And yeah, we'll be working on that seat, getting that seat done, and then it's body mount time. So, and that's a biggie. So once the body mounts are done, we are pretty much in the clear. The only other thing is, which I'm banking on it being an easy fix, hopefully, is that we are having a overheating issue on this thing, which we maybe will address more, but we do have a couple. We got super flush, so hopefully I don't believe in any of this stuff, to be honest. I doubt it's going to do the job for us. We do have a cap that we can hook the hose on top of the radiator to help flush it, but I am pretty sure it is the radiator just clogged a little bit, so we'll see. Maybe we'll get lucky. But if we gotta buy a new radiator, we gotta buy a new radiator. But we're not gonna do it like we did the black Jeep. We're not gonna just redo everything. We're gonna figure out what the problem is on this one and just attack that area, whether it's radiator, water pump. But it still cools. It just doesn't. But she's close. She's close to being pretty hot. So we're gonna figure that out. But other than that, enjoy you guys watching, and it's just a little update for you guys on the Jeep. And yeah, we're gonna get at it, and we'll see you next time. All right.